Hello, graceful Libra, something meaningful is settling into place. No, this is not simply another fortunate week. This is your moment of gentle realignment, a return not to who you once were or who others expected you to become, but to the steady, centered version of yourself that has quietly been waiting beneath the noise. From now through June 23rd and 24th, that part of you is coming forward with calm confidence, balance, and grace. These days carry a different kind of energy. They are less about rushing ahead and more about finding your footing again. There is a quiet rhythm moving through them, something subtle that does not demand attention. It still makes itself known. It feels like a soft current guiding you back toward what truly matters. You may already sense it. Perhaps you've been waking up with a little more awareness, even if you cannot fully explain why. Maybe a certain number keeps appearing, or a recurring dream continues to linger in the background. Those moments are not insignificant. They are reminders that something within you is shifting toward greater clarity. The opportunity here is not the kind you can hold in your hands. It is the moment you realize you are finally ready to receive what no longer needs to be chased. It is the feeling that opens your heart and reminds you that you are allowed to welcome what is meant for you. And if you are hearing this message now, trust that your presence here carries meaning. I do not care how you found this video. Maybe someone shared it with you, or maybe it simply appeared at the right time. What I do know is that life often speaks through timing, and if you are still listening, part of you already recognizes that this message reaches beyond the surface. It is speaking to the version of you that has been longing for permission to stop merely getting through life and start reconnecting with it. Because the truth is, Libra, the reward everyone keeps searching for is rarely what they imagine. It is not a sudden solution or a perfect answer. It is the moment you stop believing that blessings must be earned through constant effort and begin understanding that they arrive more naturally when your energy aligns with what is true. These next 2 days carry that invitation. As late June settles into its turning point, the atmosphere encourages reflection, balance, and honest self-awareness. There is space here for emotional healing, renewed creativity, and even unexpected progress in practical areas of life for those who are open to it. Yet none of that matters if you move too quickly to notice where you are. So pause for a moment and take this breath with me. Let your body catch up to where your heart has already begun to arrive. You are not behind, and you have not missed your moment. You are meeting this message exactly when you need it most. Even if you have struggled to find the words, if something inside you is quietly saying yes, if you feel even the slightest pull toward this energy, allow yourself to receive it. Let this moment settle within you. Then leave a comment below with the word that represents what you are stepping into next. Maybe that word is peace, maybe it is balance, confidence, softness, or clarity. Speak it aloud if you can, and type it below as well. There is power in naming what you are ready to welcome, because that simple act becomes a step toward alignment. And if you have stayed with me this far, thank you. Thank you for showing up for yourself and for trusting your intuition enough to keep listening. Every like, every comment, every share, and every subscription helps strengthen the space created for people who are searching, feeling, growing, and healing together. Your presence here matters more than you know. It brings meaning to this community and adds something valuable simply by being part of it. So stay with me, because what unfolds next carries an insight you may not want to overlook. As late June reaches this important midpoint and a full moon in Cancer shines across the part of your chart connected to wisdom, perspective, and personal growth, Libra, something quietly meaningful begins to shift. This is more than another date on the calendar. It feels like a moment of recalibration, where your inner compass is gently finding its true direction again. The energy invites you to reconnect with what matters most beneath the noise of daily life. This area of your chart speaks of truth, understanding, long journeys, and the insights that change how you see yourself. As the moon brings its light here, the invitation is not only to look ahead, but also to look within. Places in your heart that once carried uncertainty, longing, or unresolved emotion may return to your awareness. The light touches both where you are going and what still lingers behind you, offering clarity, compassion, and space to release what no longer needs to be carried. For some, this week may feel unusual, like standing at the edge of a new chapter before the page fully turns. The feeling may not be dramatic, but it can be deeply noticeable. Old memories could surface unexpectedly, and familiar patterns or people may cross your path again. Their purpose is not to pull you backward, but to help you recognize how much you have grown beyond them. The moon is not here to criticize or judge. It acts more like a mirror, reflecting what has been living quietly beneath the surface. Under Cancer's influence, that reflection becomes deeply personal, revealing emotions you may have tucked away so carefully that even you stopped paying attention to them. This is one of the gifts of astrology. It reminds us that timing often carries its own wisdom. The supportive connection between Jupiter and Neptune during this period does more than inspire dreams and imagination. It softens the voice that constantly questions whether you are doing enough. Jupiter brings growth and understanding, while Neptune encourages intuition and trust. Together they create an atmosphere where healing feels possible, and where hope begins to move through your emotional landscape with greater ease. This energy offers a kind of permission that many people do not realize they have been waiting for. Permission to release old pressure. Permission to trust the process unfolding around you. Permission to see yourself not as someone endlessly trying to move beyond pain, but as someone finally secure enough to experience emotions without being controlled by them. Think about the ocean responding to the pull of the moon. It does not resist the tide because it recognizes the connection that has always existed. In much the same way, something within you is responding now. Your emotions may be shifting not because something is wrong, but because your spirit recognizes the significance of this moment and is adjusting accordingly. You are not being asked to have every answer. You are simply being invited to notice what is changing within you. Maybe it arrives as restlessness. Maybe it comes through tears that seem to appear without explanation. Maybe it reveals itself in a quiet moment that suddenly feels meaningful in a way you cannot fully describe. That is not a sign that something is off balance. It is a sign that something is resonating. During times like these, faith becomes less about predicting outcomes and more about trusting your presence within the experience. Isaiah 43:2 gently reminds us, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you." The promise was never that life would avoid difficulty. The promise was that you would never have to face it alone. If your heart has felt tired from carrying too much for too long, allow this moment to remind you that you can ease your grip. Trusting the current is different from giving up. It is choosing to believe that not every step forward requires struggle. There is no prize for hiding your feelings, and no reward for carrying every burden in silence. What this energy offers you, Libra, is room to feel without becoming overwhelmed, to remember without becoming trapped in the past, and to move ahead without forcing the pace. You do not need to understand every emotion immediately in order to honor it. Sometimes honoring it means writing your thoughts down. Sometimes it means lighting a candle. Sometimes it means lighting a candle. Sometimes it means simply saying, "I'm here and I'm listening." If something within you has felt different lately, do not dismiss it as stress alone. It may be your spirit responding to a deeper sense of alignment. And if you feel ready to welcome that process, then say it, write it, speak it aloud. I am ready for the shift my soul has been waiting for. Let those words become the place where you begin, because this week is not asking you to fix yourself. It is inviting you to meet yourself with honesty, timing, and trust. There are moments in a Libra's journey when life stops speaking through noise and begins speaking through patterns, signs, and meaningful echoes. When these cards appear, not simply as images on a table, but as reflections of your current emotional landscape, something deeper than explanation begins to take shape. This week's message is not about predicting your future. Each card acts as a mirror, offering a clearer view of where you are now and the direction your spirit is quietly moving toward. The first card to emerge was Judgment. Not the harsh or critical meaning people often assume, but something much gentler. Think of it as a wake-up call from your own soul. A reminder that a part of you has been ready to step forward for quite some time. This card is not asking what mistakes you've made. It is asking whether you are ready to be honest about who you truly are becoming. For Libra, a sign that naturally seeks harmony, truth, and meaningful connection, judgment feels less like a warning and more like a return to yourself. It carries the feeling of recognizing something important that has been quietly waiting beneath the surface. What once seemed hidden or forgotten now asks to be acknowledged with openness and care. Then comes the Ace of Cups, arriving like a gentle breath after a long pause. If judgment represents the soul speaking, the Ace of Cups feels like the heart answering back. This card points toward an emotional opening, whether that appears as love, forgiveness, deeper self-acceptance, or a renewed willingness to trust your own feelings. Sometimes the beginning is not about another person entering your life. Sometimes it is about allowing yourself to feel without immediately analyzing or holding back. For Libra, which can spend so much time weighing every possibility, this card encourages you to soften your grip and remember that vulnerability is not weakness. It is often the doorway to genuine connection. The next card is Temperance, and its message feels especially important. If the previous card stirred your emotions, this one helps bring everything back into balance. It reminds you that growth does not require rushing, proving yourself, or forcing outcomes. Instead, it invites patience, steady movement, and trust in the natural pace of things. For a sign that values harmony yet sometimes struggles with difficult choices, Temperance offers reassurance. Lasting healing rarely comes from pushing harder. It develops when you allow yourself to stay present while life unfolds. This card reminds you that your path does not need dramatic extremes to be meaningful. You are allowed to grow gradually, and you're still worthy every step of the way. The final card is the Knight of Pentacles. Quiet, dependable, and often underestimated, this card brings a grounding influence to the message. Its energy is connected to stability, consistency, and practical progress. Rather than promising sudden breakthroughs, it points toward results that build through patience and steady effort. Perhaps a supportive opportunity begins to take shape. Perhaps a project you've been nurturing starts gaining traction. Perhaps someone arrives with practical guidance when you need it most. Whatever form it takes, the message remains the same. What is meant to support you does not require a chase. It asks only that you remain centered, consistent, and open to receiving. Together, these four cards tell a clear story. Judgment speaks of honesty and awakening. The Ace of Cups speaks of emotional openness. Temperance teaches balance and trust. The Knight of Pentacles points towards stability and steady growth. Each card touches a different part of your experience, from your inner world to your emotions, your pace, and your daily life. Together, they offer the same reassurance. You're not behind. You're not missing your moment. You are moving in rhythm with something larger than your worries, your deadlines, or the expectations you place on yourself. If one of these cards speaks to you, take a moment before moving on. Breathe deeply and allow its message to settle within you. Ask yourself what perspective you're being invited to consider differently this week. Ask what part of yourself may be quietly asking for acknowledgement and care. And if this resonates, share it in the comments. Tell us which cards stood out to you the most, and include one word that reflects what you are seeking right now. Maybe that word is peace, clarity, strength, balance, or renewal. Your words matter because they help turn intention into action. And sometimes what you choose to share becomes exactly the sign someone else needed to see. Some of life's most meaningful rewards do not arrive with fanfare. They do not appear as numbers on a screen, public recognition, or something others can easily measure. This week, Libra, the gift being offered, is far more personal. It arrives quietly, like finally taking a full breath after not realizing how long you've been holding it. The real reward is not something you win. It is something you remember. It is the moment you stop searching outside yourself for what was always living within you. It is the realization that being enough was never something you had to achieve. It has been part of you all along. After all the reflection, all the inner adjustments, and all the invitations toward greater clarity that have surfaced through this message, this is the point where you return to your own center. This is the kind of blessing people rarely talk about. Not the one earned through endless effort, but the one that appears when you finally stop measuring your worth through constant striving. You were never meant to spend your life waiting to be chosen. You are here to choose yourself again and again until self-respect, self-trust, and self-acceptance become second nature. That is where real transformation begins. Often it starts so quietly that it is easy to miss. In a world that celebrates speed, productivity, and constant motion, the idea that something valuable could arrive through stillness can feel unfamiliar. Yet the most powerful forms of grace rarely announce themselves. They settle gently into your awareness and remind you that you are safe, even before the outer circumstances fully reflect what is changing within. The reward this week may come through a simple realization. You do not have to fight for love. You do not have to exhaust yourself to deserve rest. You do not have to trade your authenticity for acceptance. The invitation is simply to soften enough to recognize that receiving is not weakness. It is alignment with what is real. When the energy of a period like this begins to settle in, when reflection deepens and emotional clarity grows stronger, it often signals that something important is taking root beneath the surface. The shift may not look dramatic from the outside. Instead, it feels like safety. It feels like stability. It feels like no longer carrying every moment as if it were a crisis waiting to happen. This is where healing becomes sustainable. It is where your nervous system begins to trust the present moment a little more. It is where your heart no longer feels the need to guard itself every time it opens. Those changes affect far more than circumstances. They change the way you experience life itself. Many people believe that receiving must be earned, yet often the opposite is true. When you stop resisting what is already trying to enter your life, you begin noticing movement where there once seemed to be none. Things shift not because you force them to, but because you finally create space for them. The challenge is believing you are worthy now, not after becoming more productive, more healed, more accomplished, or more perfect. Right now, exactly as you are. That is where the door begins to open. This kind of blessing rarely arrives all at once. Sometimes it appears through small moments that are easy to overlook. A conversation flows more easily than expected. A decision becomes clearer. Someone offers support at exactly the right time. You wake up feeling a little lighter than you did before. That is often how meaningful change enters. It finds the spaces you have finally stopped trying to control. It moves through the openings created when trust replaces tension. And before you know it, something within you begins to breathe more freely. So let me ask you something gently. When was the last time you truly felt at ease? Not simply getting through the day, but fully present, fully breathing without rushing, second-guessing, or carrying unnecessary pressure. That feeling is what this week is inviting you back toward. This is the frequency of realignment. It is the restoration of trust in yourself, in your choices, and in life's timing. If a part of you can feel something loosening, something becoming clearer, or something quietly finding its way into place, acknowledge it. Speak it out loud. Write it in the comments. What is the word, the feeling, or the energy you are reclaiming? Sometimes your willingness to share your own quiet yes becomes the encouragement someone else has been waiting for. This is not about turning life into a list of goals or manifestations. It is about allowing your spirit to rest in its own worth without apology. That is often when the deepest blessings arrive, not through noise or spectacle, but through peace. And sometimes the guidance you need does not arrive as an answer. It arrives through symbols, patterns, and gentle repetitions. This week, Libra, if certain numbers seem to be appearing everywhere you look on receipts, clocks, addresses, or even in your dreams, pay attention to them. Repeating numbers often feel less like coincidences and more like quiet confirmations. They tend to echo something your heart already understands, even if you have not fully put it into words yet. Life has a gentle way of drawing your attention toward what matters without demanding it all at once. The number 2 may be especially significant right now. It carries the energy of balance, partnership, harmony, and trust. Rather than pushing you to work harder, it encourages you to pause and reconnect with your center. Its message is simple. Not everything needs to be forced in order to move forward. Then there is the number 6. arriving like a familiar reminder of peace and self-compassion. In numerology, it is often associated with healing, emotional balance, forgiveness, and returning home to yourself. It asks you to replace self-criticism with understanding. It reminds you that meaningful growth rarely comes through pressure, and that healing becomes easier when you allow yourself to soften. The number 24 carries a special resonance during this period. It blends the harmony of 2 with the grounded stability of 4, creating an energy of balanced progress. This number appears when you are being encouraged to trust both your inner wisdom and the practical steps that support it. It suggests that clarity is becoming something you can build upon, rather than simply hope for. Even if the outer pieces have not fully fallen into place yet, something important has already shifted within you. The foundation is forming. The choices you are making now are helping create a more stable and authentic path forward. This is not the energy of waiting. It is the energy of quietly creating. Now let's talk about color, because color, much like sound and number, carries its own emotional language. Dusty blue feels especially aligned with this week's energy. It brings a sense of calm, balance, and gentle clarity. When emotions become overwhelming or your thoughts begin pulling you in too many directions, this color can help bring you back to yourself. Dusty blue supports honest communication, emotional harmony, and inner stillness. If possible, wear it, keep it nearby, or spend a few moments focusing on it while journaling or reflecting. Let it serve as a reminder of your own balance. Its purpose is not decoration, but reconnection. And through all of this, the numbers, the colors, the patterns that seem to keep returning there, is one truth worth remembering. You are not walking through this alone. Even during uncertain seasons, even when answers feel distant and peace seems difficult to reach, support is often present in ways you cannot yet see. The journey has never been about eliminating fear entirely. It has always been about remembering that you do not carry everything by yourself. Isaiah 43:2 offers a beautiful reminder. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. Whether those words come from faith, reflection, or simple encouragement, their meaning remains powerful. You are supported. You are seen. Faith is not about having every answer or never experiencing doubt. It is about lifting your eyes in the middle of uncertainty and saying, I am willing, not perfectly prepared, not completely certain, simply willing. Willing to trust the guidance unfolding before you. Willing to believe there is more ahead than you can currently see. Willing to allow grace to accomplish what effort alone never could. So if these numbers have been appearing around you lately, if you keep noticing 2, 6, or 24 showing up in unexpected places, pause for a moment and acknowledge them. Let them feel like confirmation rather than something you need to figure out. And if one of those numbers stands out to you, share it in the comments along with a word that captures what it brings up inside you. Sometimes recognizing a sign for yourself becomes the very thing that helps someone else recognize theirs. That is often how meaningful energy moves from one person to another, quietly and naturally. The most important shifts do not always arrive with dramatic announcements. Many begin through small choices made in private moments when no one else is watching. After all the reflection, all the emotional clarity, and all the insights that have surfaced through this message, this is where real change begins to take root. It becomes part of your daily rhythm, woven into the way you move through your day with intention and awareness. As June approaches its midpoint of transition, the invitation is simple. Be present for what is already trying to unfold. This week, Libra, the energy feels gentle yet deeply supportive. It is not asking you to force anything into place or prove anything to anyone. It is simply asking you to create room for what is already finding its way toward you. Meaningful blessings often need space more than effort. They grow in stillness. They grow when your thoughts, your breath, and your attention are all meeting in the same moment. That is why we begin with a simple statement, one you can write down, speak aloud, or quietly carry with you throughout the day. I am enough. I do not need to force myself to earn what is meant for me. That those words become an anchor whenever doubt begins to return or old patterns start replaying in your mind. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. It is about releasing the belief that pressure is the only path to progress. Then light a candle, not as a performance and not for anyone else. Do it as a gesture of presence. Set an intention that feels honest and uncomplicated. Maybe it is a single word, a feeling, or a hope you have not yet spoken aloud. Allow the flame to hold that intention for a while. Let it remind you that even a small light can gently transform the atmosphere around it. Your intention works in much the same way, quietly influencing the energy you carry forward. Spend a few minutes outside if you can. Leave your phone behind and step away from distractions. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Notice the breeze and let the sunlight touch your skin. Nature has a remarkable way of restoring balance without asking anything from you in return. You do not need a profound experience. You only need to be fully present where you are. There is something deeply meaningful about giving yourself permission to simply exist in the moment. If journaling calls to you, try writing a letter to the version of yourself who will be standing a few months ahead. Imagine the person who has gained more clarity, more confidence, and more peace. Tell them what you hope they have learned, what burdens you hope they have released, and what choices you are making now to help them arrive there. You may be surprised by how powerful those words feel when you revisit them later. They often reveal growth that was happening long before you recognized it. Small acts of reflection can become powerful markers of change. And here is something many people forget. Ordinary habits take on new meaning when they are filled with intention. Drinking a glass of water can become an act of care. Turning off the lights at night can become a way of closing the day with awareness. Tidying a small corner of your space can become a statement that your energy matters. Gratitude does not have to be complicated. Sometimes it is a simple "thank you" whispered before the day begins. These actions may look ordinary from the outside, but they become rituals when they are approached with presence. Each one sends a quiet message. I am not just hoping for change. I am making room for it. Move gently with yourself. Trust the small shifts. Meaningful blessings do not wait until you become perfect. They meet you when you are willing to be present. And being present does not require complete certainty. It only asks for willingness. The willingness to care again, to trust again, and to hope again, even when your voice feels uncertain. So let me ask you this. What small ritual feels like your way of honoring this shift? What action feels like your quiet yes to the next chapter taking shape before you? Share it in the comments. Maybe it is journaling, a silent walk, or finally lighting the candle you have been saving for the right moment. Perhaps this is the moment. And when you share it, you may encourage someone else to take their own small step forward as well. That is how growth often moves through a community. Quietly, naturally, and one breath at a time. What if the blessing you've been waiting for is not somewhere far ahead of you, but already taking shape within you, quietly, steadily, and without conditions? Libra, this week is not here to measure you or test your worth. It is here to remind you of something important. You do not have to prove yourself in order to deserve peace, love, clarity, or support. The invitation is simply to return to your center, to reconnect with the part of you that already understands you belong exactly where you are. And maybe that is the most challenging thing to believe. The idea that you can arrive as you are without becoming more accomplished, more polished, or more healed first, and still be worthy of receiving. Yet that is the lesson woven through this moment. Your honesty, your willingness to feel deeply, to slow down, and to release old expectations are what creates space for meaningful change. Not perfection, just truth. If you have stayed with this message until now, then something inside you likely recognizes that this is more than information. It feels like an invitation, a quiet threshold, a moment that asks for presence rather than dramatic action, a moment where you simply pause and say, I'm here, I'm listening, I'm ready. So let me ask you something, not as someone who claims to have every answer, but as someone who understands what it means to walk through uncertainty and continue trusting anyway. What are you finally ready to receive? Not only in your outer world, but within yourself, in your heart, in your confidence, in the way you see your own life. What are you ready to stop chasing, and what are you finally willing to welcome? You do not need a perfect strategy. You do not need to have every step mapped out. You only need to begin with presence, compassion, and the belief that showing up matters. Lighting a candle, writing a few honest words, whispering a prayer, taking a breath and returning to your truth. These simple acts become powerful declarations. They are ways of saying, I trust what is unfolding. I trust that what belongs in my life can find its way to me. Libra, so much of your journey centers around creating balance, seeking harmony, and finding your place between thought and feeling. But what if this season is not about striving for more? What if it is about allowing yourself to appreciate what you have already built, who you have already become, and the grace that appears when you stop carrying everything alone? You do not have to force alignment into existence. You only need to remain open to it. You do not have to push every door forward with effort. Sometimes the door is already open, and all that remains is recognizing that you are ready to walk through it. And you, exactly as you are today, are enough. If this resonates with your heart, write this in the comments right now. I am ready to receive the beautiful balance my soul has been waiting for. Let that be your declaration. Let it be your quiet yes, not only for yourself, but for someone else who may need to see those words and remember their own courage. And if this message has touched something within you, stay connected. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so we can continue sharing this journey together. These moments of reflection, healing, and growth become even more meaningful when experienced as a community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for yourself and for sharing your energy in this space. Your presence matters. Your story matters. The growth unfolding within you matters. The opportunities finding their way toward you are not delayed. The clarity you have been seeking is not out of reach. Everything is arriving in its own timing, just as you are. Take one more breath and let that settle within you. You do not need to rush. You do not need to force. You only need to be present. That is where it begins. That is where it always begins.